Good morning. My name is Sally Chambers and I'm the Digital Humanities Research Coordinator at the Ghent Centre for Digital Humanities in Belgium. Today, I would like to share with you some ideas about web archives for open science. How fair, findable, accessible, interoperable and reusable can we go? So first, if we look at open science, the European Commission's Open Science Monitor defines three core areas of open science: open access publications, open research data, and open scholarly communication. Today, I would like us to focus in the context of web archiving on open research data. So, can we ask ourselves the question, how fair are our web archives? So let's look at each of the findable, accessible, interoperable and reusable in the context of web archives. So firstly, findable. I think we're doing very well in this area. OCLC launched the standard for descriptive metadata for web archiving. That has enabled us to catalogue our web archive resources. This is an example from the KBR, the Royal Library of Belgium's web archive. This is a web resource that has been catalogued and was archived as part of the PROMISE project, the feasibility study for a Belgian web archive, along with around 2,500 other individual websites that were harvested as part of the program and now available, at least the metadata, through the KBR's catalogue. Also, I would like to give an example from the Netherlands, and Kees, who is in the audience, will know a lot more about this than me, but this is the Dutch National Registry of Web Archives. Here you can see all the different sites that are archived via different archiving institutions across the Netherlands. You can see when they were archived, what frequency, even which tools were used for those archiving. So this is a great tool to be able to have a good overview from the Dutch web archiving landscape. Another example, and I'd like to thank Olga from IIPC for pointing this out to me. Within the British Library catalogue, they've also catalogued web archive collections. Here, I don't know if you can see in the middle, you can, from the advanced search within the catalogue, choose material type archive websites. And then, which is quite relevant today, there is an archived web collection about the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. This is with the collection description described in the catalogue, and from there you can link through to the UK Web Archive. In this particular collection, 644 websites have been collected and are part of this collection. And here is an example of the Aberystwyth University website related to Ebola. Again, we'll move into accessibility. Unfortunately, that is only available in the library premises. And I think here this will be the legal deposit libraries across the UK. So if this is the first step towards accessibility, so we've looked at the findability of resources, now let's look at accessible, the A of fair. So here, I'd like to start thinking about web archives as data sets. Many of you will know many national and university libraries and other cultural heritage institutions have these labs, these lab environments where you can experiment with different tools and data sets. These examples of web archives as data sets, firstly, comes from the National Library of Austria, ONB Labs. There they have made a data set available of the metadata for 2 million archived web pages that have been archived by the Austrian National Library since 2009, and they are available in the ONB labs. Also another example from the Netherlands, this is the KB, the Royal Library, the National Library of Netherlands is lab environment. Here I'm showing two special collections. The web collection from the Chinese community in the Netherlands that together with CASE was put together by a student from the Chinese community. and also the Web Archaeology collection, which I will say a little bit more, go into a little bit more detail about. So thinking about accessibility, as we saw in the UK Web Archive example, that is only accessible in the premises of legal deposit libraries in the UK. And in the times of Corona, of course, that is not easy. However, if we look at the Web Archaeology, so the Internet Archaeology web collection from the National Library of the Netherlands, here you can see that Kees and his colleagues have provided access to derived data sets, which is a first step towards providing access to the Web Archive collection. On the left-hand side of my screen, at least, you can see the collection description. This is a document to say how the collection has been put together. At the top of the screen, you can see all of the URLs that are contained in the data set. Also, and I didn't show the picture, here at the bottom, you can already see that a link analysis of those URLs that are included in the collection has been done. And all of these derived data sets are available to download from the KB Labs website. So if we've done the F and the A, now let's move on to the I for interoperable. We're doing very well in this area, I think, in terms of interoperability, at least due to the file formats. So here, the WARC standard has now been available. It was first made available in 2009 and has most been recently updated as the ISO standard in 2017. The IIPC has also been working with colleagues on the implementation guidelines. So in terms of interoperability, I think the web archiving community is well ahead of the game. And then moving on to the final letter, the R for reusable in the FAIR. I'm sure many of you who work in universities will have come across research data management and data management plans. Here, this is a site from the Open Science Foundation that are Ghent University data stewards who have been employed to help the colleagues within the university to do high quality research data management. This website is available in English and there is a lot of information on there, such as RDM training materials that may be of interest. And they tweet a lot, so it's interesting to follow. They're always up to date with the latest news about research data management. Another tool they've provided is Data Management Plan, or DMP Online. This tool was originally set up by the Digital Curation Centre in the UK, and this is the Belgian version. It's an online tool that helps researchers to set up their own data management plans. Here, the screenshot shows the different sections of a data management plan. For example, the collection of and processing of personal data, the categories, GDPR responsibility, etc., and the kind of questions that you'll be asked to fill in. I think the more that we do really use data management planning in advance for our research, the more reusable our data will become. And this is all leading towards, at least in Europe, and it would be interesting to know what the international perspective is on this. The European Commission has got a flagship initiative called the European Open Science Cloud. This is intended to make all research data openly accessible and interoperable, fair for use across Europe and beyond. The social sciences and humanities, which I'm sure many of the people in the WARCnet community feel that they belong to, there is a special part of this cloud. This is a project but will become a service. It's called SHOCK, the Social Sciences and Humanities Open Cloud. This is where the social science and humanities research infrastructures are working together to find ways that we can make our data available as SSH researchers in the European Open Science Cloud. It's a project at the moment, and they are beta testing at the moment, and from 2022 we should be able to make our data available via SHOCK into the European Open Science Cloud. And this is a very exciting resource. FAIR, regarding reusability. So I'm sure many of you know Ian is probably here in the audience, and the Archives Unleashed project. Here I wanted to focus on the Archives Unleashed notebooks. For me, I'm extremely interested in the use of lab notebooks where code can be executed without you needing to really understand the basics, the details of coding. And I think for many humanists, this is a great tool. So by the Archives Unleashed notebooks, you can query archive web collections that have been made available via the Archive It service. For me, this is a kind of reusability. So you, as different researchers, can all query and do their own research using these notebooks from one set of archived, or any content, I think, as far as I understand, any Archive It collections. So this is a great interface and makes those collections also accessible and reusable. I think this is very valuable. Again, Olga from IIPC pointed out in the recent Web Archive Wednesday that the Archives Unleashed team have made a step forward to making some of these data sets available either through Zenodo or Dataverse repositories. So this is a very interesting development, and one certainly to keep an eye on. So that was a brief overview of asking the question, how fair are our web archives? In terms of findability and interoperability, I think we're doing quite well. We have a green light, we're moving forward in a good direction there. Accessibility, as we all know, the legal restrictions on web archive collections are still very much a barrier to their use. We are making some good steps forward, but this is still an area where we need to do a lot of work. However, I did put an amber light as well, because through, like the cases example, through derived data sets that are being used, we can also have access to the data in derived form so that we can at least do some kind of analysis on web archives. And reusability, again, we are moving forward there, but there is still a lot of work to do to be able to share the research. And I think this example from Olga from the Archives Unleashed project is really excellent. As more people make their data sets available, more publications are available, then we can really see and reuse and see what other researchers are doing. So that was a whistle-stop tour through how fair are our web archives. Can we see web archives as open science data sets? I would very much like to think that we can. Thanks very much.